We're going to start with a little bit of that gospel from Matthew. We piped you a tune, but you wouldn't dance. We sang you a dirge, but you wouldn't mourn. We piped you a tune, but you wouldn't dance. We sang you a dirge, but you would not mourn. Now, I have to say, it's always a little strange preaching after the pageant. I mean, this may be, as I stand up here, the most forgettable reflection I get every single year. In fact, I remember watching a documentary about the original Woodstock Music Festival and Jerry Garcia. You all know who Jerry Garcia is. He's the front man of the Grateful Dead. Jerry Garcia talked about how no one remembers that the Grateful Dead were at Woodstock. Because right before their set, The Who came on and destroyed the stage. And then the Grateful Dead played. And then right after that, Jimi Hendrix came on and set his guitar on fire. So that's us. We are in the Grateful Dead phase of Pageant Sunday. But we do have something to say in the wake of the frenetic brilliance of the holiday play. Or should I say, we have something to experience. And that something is balance. That something that we need to experience this holiday season is balance. You see, there's a lot of chaos this time of year. There is a lot of noise. And some of it comes from a genuine place of joy, but much of it is just there to confuse us, to knock us off our foundation so that we spend more and eat more and drink more than is good for us. We may not be feeling that manufactured joy all the time. In fact, if we're all in touch with ourselves, we are definitely not feeling that manufactured joy all the time. In our reading from Mark today, Jesus is complaining about how the powers of his time, what the church would call the powers, the principalities and powers of his time, wanted first John the Baptist and then him to sort of fall into line, to dance and mourn, when the powers wanted them to dance and mourn, rather than when the Spirit moves. To quote Dan Quayle, former vice president and awkward spokesman for the powers, they were telling John and Jesus, happy campers you are, happy campers you have been, and happy campers you will always be. But we aren't always happy campers. We aren't always happy campers, nor should we be. As Jesus tells us, wisdom will be vindicated by her own actions. Wisdom will be vindicated by her own actions, which is to say that the Holy Spirit moves at her own will and her own choosing. And the time for every purpose under heaven may not match up with societal demands. It may not match up with our holidays, with how we are supposed to feel in any moment of our lives. Right now we are in the midst of the holiday season. Holiday season that has traditionally made many demands. There are so many tunes being piped into our brains right now. So many demands to feel a certain way that we find ourselves frequently feeling an absence. Feeling an absence and feeling bad about it. Every time we are frustrated, every time we suffer a setback, every time we experience a loss, every time we turn on the news. So sometimes during this season, we cannot easily find that sound of silence. We cannot easily find our center. And this creates a disconnect. A disconnect between our deepest selves and the holiday season that tries to tell us how to feel. Now, some of us have been pretty cranky lately. I don't need hands. I know this is true. Some of us have been pretty demanding lately, too. And I know this because I have been. Some of us have been pretty hard to live with. And we might even ask ourselves at our more lucid times why that is. And what it is a natural occurrence for human beings capable of the full range of emotions at all times. What it means is that in the midst of the holiday chaos, we have to find ways to hold all our emotions in balance. There's that word again. Balance. Yes, we are happy. We are happy for the season, for the Christmas play, for all the things that make this time special and fun. But at the same time, we must acknowledge that not all is right in the world, that the powers are ramping us up for reasons of material gain. We must understand that it is okay to be sad or angry as we approach Christmas Day. It is okay to be sad or angry as we approach Christmas Day. Now, just as we discussed at the beginning of this holiday season on Thanksgiving Sunday, we need to recognize that we can indeed do both things. We can sing and celebrate, and we can sit and reflect. And the way we do this is through divine love. Through divine love, which is really all love. Or we should say all love participates in it. Now, love is the wreath candle of next week, now somewhat forgotten and absorbed into the Christmas Eve service. But we can find balance through love because there is love in both our joy and our sadness. Both our joy and our sadness contain love. As Barbara Crafton reminds us today, with real love, she says, comes the knowledge that it can be lost. That if we give ourselves to our love, we leave a piece of ourselves there. It is our knowledge and experience of real love that motivates us, that makes us work for a better world, for the people that come after us, while loving the good works of people who went before, even in our distress. And love lifts us to higher things. It lifts us to higher things. So let us take a moment now to be in the holy silence, to find that balance, to hear the still small voice of divine love, and in it find the joy of this day and this season.